Good afternoon. This is Friday, the 22nd of September 2023. This is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report. I'm Michael Bagram, Labour representative of the Democratic Alliance, DAMP in the National Parliament. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this, spread it. We want to speak about something that's very important today. So thank you for tuning in. Well, obviously the real topic is jobs, and hence me wearing this cap. We, in the Democratic Alliance, do create new jobs. We create jobs wherever we rule, wherever we govern. And you would have seen in the Western Province, we're down to 20% unemployment. The rest of the country is at 45%. So we can prove that, in fact, our policies are working. Our policies are creating more jobs. One thing I did want to talk to you about today is cadre deployment. Some people call it cadre deployment. And I want to just give you a quote from Plato, and let me read it to you. It's actually important. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy is when men are afraid of light. This is said by Plato. Well, we were in Parliament. We did give a chance to the ANC to come forward to expose their cadre deployment minutes. They've refused. They're fighting every single court case tooth and nail to try and stop the Democratic Alliance and the country from seeing the minutes of their cadre deployment committee, led by none other than the President. President Cyril Ramaphosa led the cadre deployment committee. What is cadre deployment? And you're going to ask this a few times, and let me explain what it is, and it's simple. It means that you appoint friends, pals, card-carrying members of the ANC into jobs. High-paid jobs, but jobs that they can't do. Not through any fault of their own, but they're not trained, they're not qualified to do the jobs. So jobs is the cornerstone of this. The reality is, where we stand today in South Africa, is that we are close on 50% unemployment. The Democratic Alliance is doing everything in their power to try and destroy bad regulations, bad labour law, anything that stands in the way of job creation. The Democratic Alliance is desperately trying to improve it. And you can see that, as I said right at the beginning of this talk, you can see that in the Western Province, but in many of our municipalities that are governed by the Democratic Alliance, we are moving hard and fast to ensure, first of all, there's no cadre deployment. That's the first thing. And second of all, we are moving as quickly as we can to ensure that people in the civil service are properly trained. Now, one of our DA MPs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, has made it a life mission to ensure that the civil service is able to do its job and that the civil service is free of cadre deployment. It's a cancer that's eating at the very nature of the civil service in South Africa. Now, many of you would have tried to use government departments and any civil servant. And to a large degree, the reports that we're receiving is that the civil service is not working. It's bloated, it's overpaid, it's under-resourced, it's a real nightmare. And of course, the core of all this is cadre deployment. Employing people who are only there for one purpose, and that is to take their salary. Employing people through no fault of their own who cannot do the job, who weren't qualified to do the job. They are not fit for purpose. So as the Democratic Alliance, we've made it a mission to ensure that the civil service is free of cadre deployment, that the civil service employs people who can do the job, people who are trained to do the job, and people that can give you service delivery. And that's the idea. The civil service itself, where we stand right now, under the government of the ANC, has been hollowed out. It's going to take us a long time. We will make sure that the civil service comes back to its former glory. We'll make sure that the civil service itself does not suffer from the ills, from the cancer of cadre deployment that was brought to you by the ANC. Now, the reality is that you have a chance. Go and register now. Get hold of the Democratic Alliance website. Get hold of the IEC website. Register so that you'll be able to vote in 2024. We think it's around about the middle of 2024, but will be more communication from us telling you when the actual vote will take place. This is a watershed election. Mark my words, we need every single person to come out and vote for the Democratic Alliance to make sure that you get service delivery from the civil service and that you save South Africa. Let me just go through some of the issues. SASSA, as I'm sitting here, the grants have still not been paid out. These are people who are desperate people who are living on the SASSA grants, which is small, tiny. The Democratic Alliance wants to improve the payments of the SASSA. We want to improve the amounts. We want to make sure it works. And because of the cadre deployment, SASSA somehow not working, we don't know who's stealing, we don't know what's going on there. I mean, just think about it. We appoint people into positions that they can't do. Ambassador Smuts Ngoyama's wife recently was alleged to have assaulted a domestic worker. Again, ambassadors are jobs for pals. We don't know what's going on there. And we can't, in the world's eye, we can't do this. Even cabinet ministers. We know that there was a performance review done. There was a promise to the DA. There was a promise by the ANC to do performance reviews on the ministers. Now when we ask, the Democratic Alliance asks for these performance reviews, we're not entitled to see it. Remember what I said right at the beginning. I'll quote again from Plato. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy is when men are afraid of the light. The ANC does not want us to see the performance reviews of cabinet ministers. These are highly paid leaders of South Africa who shouldn't be there. Again, cadre deployment. The Democratic Alliance will professionalize the civil service. We want merit-based recruitment. Merit-based recruitment. The Democratic Alliance will bring to you people who are able to do the job. We need to start doing this. We can't wait. We need to start doing this even now, before we take government. And we are doing it. We're doing it wherever we can. Just think about it. Think of the railways, how it's been destroyed. Police, Eskom. I mean, politicians. I mean, the whole thing is just mad. We cannot have politicians in the civil service. Never mind DA, ANC, whoever they are. The civil service is there to provide service to the public. We can't appoint politicians into this. And this is what the ANC does. They appoint politicians. What about the health crisis? And now they want to try and bring in NHI, which is ridiculous. There's no money. We can't even fix the hospitals that we've got. The Democratic Alliance will look into that immediately and start improving the health, and we'll have no crisis there. We've just seen, and as I said last week, a possible fraud of 5 billion rand in the UIF. Now I'm reading about a possible fraud of 1.2 billion rand in the Northwest Health Department. We need to cut the cabinet. The Democratic Alliance will promise you that. We will cut the cabinet. We'll cut the expenses. We'll be able to afford proper service to the people. So thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram, DAMP, Labour spokesperson, Friday the 22nd of September 2023. Please pass this on.